How's it going, guys? How you doing? So this week we are doing a semi-video essay, but not really, about the hardest sentence in the English language and how I will try to make it even harder. So let's begin. Part 1. What is a sentence? Merriam-Webster defines a sentence as a word, clause, or phrase, or a group of clauses or phrases forming a syntactic unit which expresses an assertion, a question, a command, a wish, an exclamation, or the performance of an action that in writing usually begins with a capital letter and concludes with appropriate end punctuation, and that in speaking is distinguished by characteristic patterns of stress, pitch, and pauses. Or as I will summarize as, it's all you need to make sense, pretty much. However, for today's video, we are looking at two sentences that at a first glance don't make that much sense until you think about it a little bit more. Part 2, research. So if you were to Google the title of this video, you would see many sentences out there that are considered the hardest or most difficult sentences. I read through some of them and saw that a portion of them express a simple idea in too many words, were based on scientific jargon, or were written on accident, such as this sentence. But I'll be frank with you guys, there are only two sentences that caught my eye when I found them a long time ago, and they're kind of the inspiration of why I wanted to make this video for a long time. So we'll just go ahead and look at them. Part 3, the sentences. So I have to look at this down here, make sure I'm reading it right. So if you've been on YouTube, especially on the language side of it, you might have seen a video by Aperture called "The English Language is a Meme." So in his video, he brings up words that can be used as a noun and as a verb. For example, he has police, 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 which when you watch it and you see this right here, it makes you double take on whether or not that's how you actually spell police. But one of the most famous ones, which is in his thumbnail, is buffalo, 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 buffalo. So this sentence can be broken down to its meaning, which is buffalo, meaning the singular and plural of an animal, buffalo as the place of in New York, and buffalo as a verb that means to intimidate, bully, or confuse. So with all this being said, to break it down more easily, it's pretty much bison from Buffalo, New York, who are intimidated by other bisons in their community, also happen to intimidate other bisons in their community. Thank you, Mental Floss, for that explanation online. Now you may recall that I said there's two sentences, so we'll do the second one. Before was, is. Again, this one seems like it would be a little bit more puzzling. Others might get it in a minute. Just you think about it really quickly to fully comprehend what it's talking about. But in the end, to simplify it, it just means before the verb was became past tense, it was is, which is present tense. So another shout out to H0923 on High Native's website for providing an example or providing an explanation to someone who had asked what that sentence meant. Now that we've looked at these two sentences, which I would consider some of the most difficult ones to understand at a first glance, how can we make them harder? Part 4, yikes. So I'm gonna have to look at the script because that's where I put all my feelings on this. So we need to look for words that are collective nouns, adjectives, and verbs, having the word buffalo and was as our main starting points. I first thought that I could use the word all in front of buffalo to make it even more of a generalized statement, so it would look and sound something like this. all buffalo, 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 all buffalo. So this sentence would work, except that it's impossible to talk about all of Buffalo, New York, when there is only one, unless we somehow describe the entirety of the population, which I think the sentence wouldn't fully make sense. I tried looking into other examples of words that could have this, such as members, herd, and pairs, or pair, and also really struggling to find a way to make it a little bit more trickier. Next up, we have was, or before was, is. So this one is especially hard because it's a wordplay on a simple grammatical meaning. I tried looking to see if I could add something, but really there wasn't much that you can do except change the words that are not was. In this case, I will admit that I was defeated and I could not find a way to say it until I found someone on Reddit who had proposed the question in a different way. So they said, what was before was. So if I'm correct, it should be is as the answer, but let me know what you think. So in the end, to conclude everything, did I manage to make it a little bit more difficult? No, although I feel, honestly, looking back at the script and everything, I think for the Buffalo one, the word members or member buffalo would make a little bit more sense overall, since you could say something like, let's see, the member bisons from members of Buffalo, New York, who are members that intimidate other members of bisons in their communities, also happen to intimidate members of other member bisons in their communities. So I think that's the only way I can make it a little bit more trickier to fully understand, if we added just member in front of every single buffalo. With that all of the way, that kind of concludes this video. I'm no way a linguist, so if you see there's an issue with it, let me know. If there's a way to actually make it harder, put it down in the comments and see what we get. So yeah, with that out of the way, thank you so much for listening. I shall see you all in the next video. Bye.